Welcome to your Daily 5 for Monday, October 21st, 2024. I remember seeing trailers for the latest Hellboy film, which came out this year, titled Hellboy the Crooked Man. I don't remember where I first saw them, but then I forgot all about the movie for a while, which I think probably most people did. And then I happened to see that it was on the list of recently released movies that you could get on video on demand. I saw that it was at a cheaper price than most. It was not the $20 price. I think it was $15 on Amazon. And I watched the trailer again, and I read some reviews, and I thought, this is probably not going to be that good. The reviews have generally not been all that favorable. It obviously gets inevitably compared to the Del Toro films, which isn't fair. Plus, I didn't really enjoy the last Hellboy film all that much, because I just didn't think it was a very good movie. And so I went and I was going back and forth, and I thought, I'm reviewing horror movies for October. Let me just take a chance on this thing, because it didn't look awful. It just looked like it wasn't going to be all that good. So I thought, it's fine. Let me just watch this and see if it's any good. And rented it, have watched it, and I've got to tell you, I'm not going to tell you this is a great movie, because I don't think that's really accurate, but it's certainly a lot better than I expected it to be. And I would certainly say it's better than the last Hellboy film, which I'm sure had easily 3 to 4 times as much money to make as this one. And I would watch this one again on kind of almost an annual basis, because I thought it was actually a really well done one-off Hellboy film. I could actually see the main actor, whose name of course now escapes me, playing Hellboy in more films like this. And the easiest comparison I can make for you is, if you're going to compare this to the Del Toro films, you will inevitably be disappointed. I'm sorry, it's not. Del Toro is a better director. He had a star who looked like he was basically created to play Hellboy in life, and he managed to pull the Mignola images and visuals right out of the comic into a movie. What this movie feels like is more like one of the one-shots and smaller stories that came after Mignola stopped drawing Hellboy himself and let other artists start doing the stories in the universe. Almost like a BPRD story. And I think in that vein, which I have no issue with, it works really well. It does suffer from some of the modern horror filmmaking stuff I don't really love, but it's not too bad, and it doesn't destroy the movie. But I think I was so surprised at how much I liked this person playing Hellboy that it really overpowered any of the issues I might have had. I was really surprised at how good this guy is as Hellboy. The voice works really well. The performance works really well. The makeup is almost entirely successful. My only issue with it is I think that the sawed-off horns are probably twice as big as they should be on the actor's head. They look oversized and they look out of place. Outside of that, I think they were smart. They dialed back the makeup a bit. He looks a little bit slimmer, but he operates really well. And I like the fact that they don't bother to re-explain his origin. They don't make the Batman mistake we often get, where you have to get retold who this is. If you're watching a Hellboy film, I assume you know who Hellboy is at this point. So they just go completely past that. He's just out in the world operating. Nobody even reacts to him oddly. And this is a very small scale story, which I also think is a smart choice for a movie with a limited budget. It's not cosmic proportions. It's not Cthulhu-level old gods. It is just a small haunting of a small area in Appalachia by this very particular spirit, the Crooked Man from the title. And that's all it is. You really have, at most, 5 characters in the whole film, and the villain. Well, technically 2 villains, I guess. There's kind of a henchman, or a henchwoman, I should say. But it's very small and dialed in, and I think it works as a kind of folk horror film, which I like because I've gotten into those in the last couple of years. So I would say if you dodge this because of the reviews or because you have a love of the Del Toro films, which I have as well, I would say put that aside. This is far better than I really expected it to be. Again, I'm not telling you that it's a great film. It is not going to replace the Del Toro films for anybody in terms of quality. But for something that looks like it should have been a failure the minute that it came out, I enjoyed this quite a bit. I could see myself watching this, maybe not every year, but every few years, because I think it operates really well. And in the light of far more successful films and a bigger failure in terms of budget, that itself is an accomplishment. So I would say, if you don't want to rent it, I understand. Maybe you don't want to pay the $15 rental fee. It'll hit streaming eventually, probably on Shudder or maybe on Prime as a service. But I would say if you avoided this because you thought it was just going to be a letdown, you might want to take a chance on this. Again, maybe not paying for it, but give this one a try at some point because it's better than I think it had any right to be, and that makes it worth watching. Later.